Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty.
Welcome to the Not Playing Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley
and
Will.
So we're still in the summer of games, and there have been a few more press conferences, and also there's been some games that have come out.
Finally,
yeah. Both myself and Will have finished The Last of Us Part 2, so we're going to talk about that in another show. But we've also started Ghost of Tsushima as well, and Marcus has been playing some stuff as well. So, But first, we'll get some news, and we'll start off with the big one, which is the Ubisoft Forward.
Forward. Yes.
Forward.
What I would say, at the point of recording, we're about 3 hours prior to the Microsoft extravaganza, where they're probably going to show us Halo and Fable. But firstly, personally, I don't care enough. But secondly, we weren't going to wait to record till after that, so we may discuss that next one if it's interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Right then. So, where should we start? I mean, the first game they showed was Watch Dogs Legion, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I was really excited as I watched it. But having spent... I think I was a bit short of open world time at the time I'd watched it. I hadn't played a decent open world game since I did Days Gone at the start of the year. But where my initial excitement was, I'm now wondering about that one.
I think the issue that a lot of people have with it is that there's no protagonist, really. It's more of a strategy game where you're sort of deploying all these random people.
Well, I think it's more you could call it that. The way I look at it is actually, you personally, to an extent, are the protagonist, but you will control people with a certain set of skills. But you can select which person that is for the mission you want to go for. Assuming you can hot swap between them and just say, oh, right, I want the builder for this infiltration mission and the spy for the one where I have to just, buy balloons.
Yeah, I like the idea of sort of being able to, match up different characters with different quirks and stuff. And it all seems like what we saw before, like when they showed this, what was it, last year? Was it last E3?
Yeah.
And, we thought we'd be getting this sooner. It's October the 20-something. It's coming out now, I think.
Nailed it.
End of October. Although, we'll get on to the problem with release dates later. But I think 29th. It looks cool. 29th, cool. But who's honestly going to buy it then if the new consoles aren't out, So
people who aren't planning to buy the new consoles.
That's, I guess them people.
Who like Ubisoft games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, so, that's Watch Dogs Legion. The next game they talked about was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and we actually got some proper gameplay this time.
It looks good.
Yeah, they showed us lots of different aspects of it. We've got male or female protagonists, seems fair. Apparently in this one, you can literally swap between male and female whenever you like.
Oh,
which
really?
is weird. Yeah, so I don't think they can't have any kind of deep story type stuff going on, if that's the case.
Unless it's written like gender non-related.
Well, if you look at Assassin's Creed,
if
you look at Odyssey, there was no real difference except for the voice actor and the character model. They both had the same lines, they both had the same behaviours, and characters acted the same way towards you regardless of the gender of the character you were playing. So if it's that, really all you're doing is you're just swapping out your skin.
Yeah, I mean, if that's all there is to it, fine, but I just think it would be weird with, names and stuff and the way, I don't know, whatever.
Well,
I'm sure they can work around it.
But the main character is called Eiffel or whatever it is.
Yeah, regardless.
Yeah, so, oh well. Anything particular? I quite like the dual wielding. You can dual wield shields if you want.
Yes, I picked up on that one as well. It looks pleasantly stupid to have a shield in each hand as an offensive weapon that looks fun. I'm happy to see the return of the Hidden Blade,
Yeah.
and the one-hit kills as a result of that. We'll go into shortly our experiences with Ghost of Tsushima, and probably draw some parallels, and I think I'll talk more about how that's affected my excitement for the next Assassin's Creed. But it looks interesting, it looks fun, it's a new Assassin's Creed open world. I can't see that it's going to be a bad game at all. I'm just, having had my fix recently, less excited, which means I'm just far more likely to hit Cyberpunk, which is also fine.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, this is the big problem that I have is that this comes out 2 days before Cyberpunk.
First world problems.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's just like I just don't know what to do. Well, it's like all three of those Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, and Cyberpunk are all coming out literally in the same week. They might as well be if you're thinking of getting a new console.
Yeah.
So they're all launch games. I mean, yeah, this is the absolute epitome of a first world problem. But yeah, I mean, I just don't want to be playing 3 games at the same time. Like it's just ridiculous.
No, who would do that? So what lunatic would do something like that?
Well, they're all big. They all look like big. They're like big, meaty, open world games. It's just like it drives me mental when I'm trying to spin that many plates.
I know what you mean. Flipping between games, particularly if they've got slightly different control schemes, is kind of horrible. You build up the muscle memory to get good at the combat, to get good at this and that, and then you go into another game and like, no, that's the attack button, not the pickup button. And
the amount of times I've struck my horse in Tsushima and it's fucked off. Fucking hell. Because it's the...
Yeah, I must admit, I did exactly the same. Like I say, I don't want to overtalk the game now, but yes, the hitting the wrong button to climb on the horse and accidentally slashing it quite hard with the sword, and then it wouldn't come back to me no matter how much I called it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. Why?
I felt very bad.
What
the
bad
horse was genuinely upset with me.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I really just I'm fairly certain though that I'm not going to get a new PC now. Not if they're going to deliver the Cyberpunk, like if they're going to patch that in all the extra bells and whistles. Because I can quite happily just play some Ubisoft games instead while I wait for them to do it.
It's all down to launch dates, really. My gut instinct is I want to pick up Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate, and that's probably what I'll play with most of the rest of this year between the two of those. Early access Baldur's Gate, obviously, and I think I will wait for the fully optimised PS5 versions and hit the open world in the miserable parts of winter, which is when that game's at its best. Yeah. But each to their own.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think I'll do something similar. I forgot completely about the Baldur's Gate early access thing in August, I've heard. Which is next month.
Not long.
So
exactly that. That's probably the next game I'll be talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, either that or Avengers is September and the Star Wars Squadrons is October, so...
I'll be honest, Avengers and Star Wars are very much more a thing for you guys than it is for me. I quite like them. But I'm not excited.
I'm in two minds about the Avengers game. Because it kind of, even though it's touting itself as a good sort of story-based, different sort of things, I don't know. I mean, I was never too excited about the whole Marvel Alliance games. The third one of that was supposed to actually be really good, because all of the character designs were based on the old Jim Lee era. And a lot of proper Marvel fans were actually saying that game was pretty true to characters and stuff like that, considering it was just a Diablo-style mash-em-up. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm waiting for the Avengers game. I think it's one I'll pick up if it's any good. But I'm not front and foremost for it.
Does it feel like it should be a day one purchase, but just
that's the thing. I think it's because it's gone for this weird hybrid thing, and it's throwing me off. It's not the movie one, but they haven't gone kind of comic booky style with it, and I kind of feel like maybe they should have given it a slightly more comic book style to it, and it would have been its own strong contender, but off the back of the movies. But then the people aren't quite the movie versions, and you kind of think this feels like it was done by you get those films where they borrow lots of footage from other stuff because they couldn't afford to make it themselves, even though it is a AAA title.
The thing is that I think they want to the proposition is that this is a AAA Avengers game, and they're bringing a lot to bear on this. Like,
oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. There's a lot going for it, but I just feel the feel of it for me just feels a bit thin, because for me the pull is that I want to play an Avengers game, whether it's universe like MCU style Avengers and feel like I'm part of that, taking part in a similar story and expanded on that. Not necessarily to do with that, because the bad guy in it is so comic book villain, it's really weird. I mean, I know who the bad guy is already. I sussed it from the trailer, and I think people are going to freak out. Yeah. But who the fuck is this guy?
But it's been clearly driven by the MCU, even if they couldn't afford to make it MCU.
It's the way it's done. It kind of feels more comic.
I get it, because they had to. They couldn't make it MCU, but the complexity of the relationships and the characters in the main that people are used to will be in there.
Yeah,
I'm sure of it.
It's I'm not slagging it off, because I think it's good. I think it's going to be a really good game. I hope it is, because I want it to do well, and I want them to, I want it to be one of those good games.
They've got the guy who worked on the God of War combat to work on Thor's hammer.
I know, but I just find the look of it feels a bit muddy to me.
So if you play it with your eyes closed, it'll be fine.
It should be crisper. It should be brighter. If you're going to go with the visuals, make everything a bit less washed out, a bit less grey. Because I know they might be going for the realistic look, but it's, you've got a chance to do this in video game. You can't do it in real life, short of painting over the cells and pumping up the saturation. But I just feel as though it should be a bit brighter and a bit punchier for me.
Almost like the Ghost of Tsushima has the filter on it to make it all black and white and grey.
Yeah,
you almost want to be able to apply the comic filter.
Not necessarily comic, but just the colour scheme.
Colours pop.
The colour scheme, they've kind of gone with a kind of like you see a lot of films where they try to make it grittier, and they mute down the colours a bit. That's what I've kind of felt from it, and that's the only thing that's kind of made me feel a little bit like, if it was a bit richer in colour, not necessarily comic shaded or anything like that, just the art style itself.
Yes,
it was a bit less sort of like DC muted.
That seems it's a reasonable shout.
The movies are like insane colour, like you see an Iron Man on screen, the red is red and the gold is gold, and it's like. All in your face.
Yeah.
Right.
Back on the Valhalla. Yeah. I'd say it looks good. I'm going to leave it to the reviews, but the trouble is I've got a feeling the story and the game is as big as Odyssey. And as much as I enjoyed Odyssey, with Ghost of Tsushima as it is, and Watch Dogs probably dropping in price at the same time that comes out, I'm going to compare the reviews for Watch Dogs and Valhalla and actually, sadly, go off of the score. Because I don't think Valhalla's going to offer us an awful lot new in gameplay. I'd love to be wrong. But I think it's going to be another Assassin's Creed game, whereas I think Watch Dogs Legion is going to be something a bit new. Yeah. But I don't know if that gimmick works. So I'm less excited than I was since seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also because you've got two massive, sprawling, classic Ubisoft open-world games coming out in a relatively close release window when Suckerpunch has just released a massive, sprawling Ubisoft open world that's scratched a lot of my itch.
Yeah. I mean, and like I say, I've played a lot of Assassin's Creed this year. So I don't mind playing something else for a bit. But Avengers, maybe the Star Wars Squadron game, and also there'll be a Spider-Man game around the launch of the PlayStation as well that I'll probably get.
Yes, that's true.
But no, my only worry, just to flip back to Avengers for a second, is I just worry that they might have bit off more than they can chew, because essentially that's like 5 superhero games at once, and I just worry that they might not have been able to give each character the same sort of love as what a dedicated Spider-Man game has.
Yeah,
and that's become a bit of a blueprint, So.
But I think that's about the multiplayer aspect. If you look at it as a single-player game, that it almost certainly won't. But if you look at it as more of a co-op, play with your friends, and each of you is one of those superheroes, then I think it's less important.
Yeah.
Although I could be wrong, I still need to understand more about that game.
Because I see what you mean, Will. Because it could be what you bring to it, and almost involving your relationship with the person that you're playing it with. You know, that kind of feeling. The feeling is almost exterior to the game itself. It's whatever you're bringing to it with your mates or that arsehole you've hooked up with online who may or may not be helping you. You know, it's that sort of thing. It's like,
I think if they can capture that magic of like you playing in like the single player game, and then all of a sudden like Tony Stark turning up,
Hulk,
like the cavalry,
and just start.
like they do in the films. You know, in each other's films. Like that could be pretty neat.
I think that's the trick. As an Avengers game, it won't be about one. It will be about the way they work together. Yeah. So the point about the Spider-Man game is interesting, but I think if you look for that, that's where you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, we have digressed slightly from our Ubisoft discussion. There is one more game to mention.
The only other Naturellement, which is my cup of tea, really. Not the sixth Far Cry game, but Far Cry 6, because I think certainly since 3, and I don't know about the previous ones, there was 3 had Blood Dragon, and you had 4 had the prehistoric one. No, 4 had the prehistoric one, and 5 had New Dawn. So I mean, it's about the 93rd, 11th Far Cry game. But it looks fun. It's set in a more Cuban-style world with a dictatorship going on. It looks a lot more urban, but it looks like Far Cry, which is fun to me. Weapons, shooting, random violence, random encounters, and pure mayhem.
I think the headline announcement for a lot of people was the fact that Giancarlo Esposito is playing the villain this time around, who everyone recognises from Breaking Bad.
As you say, everyone, including the people like me who haven't watched Breaking Bad or heard of him. But I do love a sweeping statement, and I'm glad to be included in it.
He is a big deal. He was like the headline in the announcement headline of it. So,
of course,
so we got this guy.
Yeah, he's a good get. Yeah. He's a great villain. He's also in The Mandalorian as well. Yeah. If you watch that.
Which I have also very much not seen. Well, I get it, just like Breaking Bad. I watched the first one.
You're a tough crowd, mate.
Am I a bad person?
You're just a very tough crowd, mate. That's all.
Going back to Far Cry, I think I mentioned to you guys that I think, they always do the concept of the first or quickest ending to the game.
The trophy, absolutely.
Where it's like the one where he goes, follow me, and you don't follow him, and he comes back and shoots you in the head and you die in one of them or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was 5.
I reckon the point of that trailer was we've seen possibly the first ending where he hands the kid everyone must have seen the trailer by now. He hands the kid the grenade, goes through 4 main stages, he goes, this is the pin, and he goes, follow me, now. And then you get up and you walk out. But I don't know whether that was the cinematic.
That was cinematic, but also you're assuming that one of those guys is the the protagonist, whereas Giancarlo, really the dictator, is certainly the protagonist, but you're suggesting the antagonist... Sorry. Oh, sorry. Right, I'll get it. The good guy... the good guy is the bad guy's son, and I'm not convinced that's going to be the case, so I don't think that can be.
But I don't think it'll boil down to that. I think it would just be an ending. There will be some prompt to get up because we see it, and if you don't press it, you'll just sit there and wait in a room, and then the grenade will go off. I almost guarantee it because it's the kind of thing that I would put in there.
Well, we shall find out on the 18th of February next year.
Yeah,
and I must admit, out of the 3 games, the one I'm most likely to play day one would be the Far Cry games, just because I enjoy the gunplay in those and the silly stealthness, probably more than I enjoy Assassin's Creed games.
Well, if they haven't patched Cyberpunk by then, I might be playing that too.
Well, you've still got to play 4 and 5, haven't you?
Do you really have to?
No, you absolutely don't have to, but they're unimaginable levels.
I have played 4, I just haven't played the prehistoric one or the New Dawn.
Don't worry about that.
Or 5.
Or 5.
Yeah.
So you
I think I've
basically
got 3
last
or 4.
played
I did
for.
see that it was in the
I haven't played yet.
PlayStation sale. It was quite cheap, but I've got loads
Yeah.
to play at the moment. Yeah, okay. So that was the main Far Cry, the main Ubisoft stuff. No dancing pandas, sadly, which was a bit nah.
No. Well,
Yeah.
there's another Ubisoft conference. They confirmed, I think, today that it's at some point in September. So I think they wanted to not try and have. I think Ubisoft are being. I mean, I'm not going to cover the bad press news they've got about some senior management being horrible, sexist, dirty bastards.
Yeah.
It's there. But I think what they were doing is they didn't want to do an event and risk that being overshadowed by something outside of their control, like Sony suddenly dropping a thing or Microsoft doing a thing or someone else. If they do 2 events and spread that love, they've got a better chance of the attention. So I think we're going to have dancing pandas. We have loads more detail. In September of Legion, which is the next big open world game coming out. I think it should be an interesting one. I'd like to see them keep doing that, maybe every 3 months.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm sure they'll want to get the hype going for all their big releases that have been delayed. So, cool.
Yep.
All right then. So, there was another conference since we last spoke, and that was the Devolver Direct, or whatever they call it, where there was all of the hype that you could possibly want, even for games that didn't exist, just more hype.
I've got to love a Devolver conference. I genuinely couldn't name a single game that was in it. Some of them looked fun, but mostly I enjoy the conference itself for the sheer stupidity.
Yeah, there were a couple of games. Shadow Warrior 3, I think they're just going down the full-on gonzo path with that, 4-player mad co-op.
Yes, I've never played a Shadow Warrior game, but I watched that trailer and I must admit, I heard 1 was kind of fun, 2 was actually a fairly good game. If 3 gets solid reviews, I'm all over that, particularly if they chuck it on the Switch. That feels like a fun.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking more of a as a co-op online thing if there's people up for something like that. But
I could consider that, particularly if it's not a full price release.
And then for the second year running, they showed this weird game called Carrion, which is where you're playing some unholy horror that just goes around. You're playing the monster basically, and you have to kill everyone that's coming after you. So,
that was the weird blobby tendrily thing.
Yeah.
But at least when you're going out and killing thousands, you are the bad guy.
You know your role.
Yeah, there's no.
Which we'll discuss in the spoiler cast.
Yeah, there's
for
no
Last of Us
Ludo
2.
narrative dissonance there.
No.
Those were the only 2 games that stuck out for me. But the presentation, as always, was perfect. And it's always a delight to check out what Devolver are doing each year, just for that 1 hour.
Nina Struthers is a legend.
Absolutely. That's kind of all the news, really. I think, isn't it?
Probably. There's been such a ridiculous
bit of a
amount
drought.
going on.
Well, it's just big, E3 type stuff, just like getting spread across the whole summer. So it's good to actually be able to give it your full attention. And it's like,
Well, I'm going to catch up on a few of them because things are a little bit busy now.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to sitting back and just chilling out, watching a few of them.
yeah, no, it's good. So, okay, let's get on to the main event then. We've both been playing Ghost of Tsushima, me and Will. I'm about 15 hours. I think I'm coming towards the end of Act 1. I think you're a bit further than that, aren't you, Will?
I'm just working on finishing off Act 2.
Fair enough. So, as you hinted earlier, this is definitely doing the job for you.
Yeah, this is not wanting to be detrimental to the studio because they must have understood where the influences are coming from. But this is Assassin's Creed Samurai.
Definitely agree.
Or Ninja, depending on how you want to play it. But what I do quite like Odyssey allowed you to go in as a warrior more than an assassin. But what I would say is comparing it to Assassin's Creed in certain ways is quite unfair, because the beauty of the Japanese styling, when combined to the utter badass, superb katana combat. That combat is something else. Now, I'm playing the game on hard, and what that does means that you become a parrying master. You don't generally attack. It's very much the way of the leaf, floating in between the sword cuts and delivering your damage. It is magnificent. You wait for very much. There's to give an example of one of the core gameplay mechanisms. As you're approaching a group of enemies, you get the ability to push up, and that puts you in standoff mode. Now, at the start of the game, a standoff will allow you basically stand there with your hand on your sword within its sheath still, and you wait, and they may throw a little feint at you, but you wait. And I watch their feet, because I've been trained this way. You watch their feet until they change their stance, and then you literally just whip the blade out of the sheath, and there's this wonderful slash that goes across the screen, and as you progress through the game, you'll take the first enemy out, and then another one will come, and you wait for them to raise their weapon, and it's another single beautiful, graceful movement, and then another, and then you just see 3 enemies slowly dying, and as you build up the skill set, you see the enemies around you starting to get terrified. They'll be scrambling backwards, and that's the point at which you can throw a kunai at them, or a gunpowder bomb, or pull out your bow and take the headshots, and you can walk into a base as you get more powerful. And there is no Assassin's Creed here. There is I am warrior, fear me, and I fucking love it.
I think I saw that in the trailer. There was a part, well, not the trailer, the part where they had to walk through. Basically, the last video we saw, which showed the foxes and the birds and the shrines and stuff. Yeah, there was a samurai combat part which had that.
Oh, the
with
duel,
the white slashes across.
Well, that was the standoff. There's also duels that you get against the master swordsman, which are really epic battles, and they're all down to your dodging and your blocking.
I liked how a lot of like the all of the mechanics from the main game all kind of go into that, rather than, for example, like your Red Dead Redemption standoffs, where it was just like some fucked up mini game that had no bearing on anything that you were doing for the vast majority of the game. You know, you do feel like you're in control when you're doing those duels. You're bringing everything to bear.
Absolutely, it's the start, it's the entrance into a greater combat, but it gives you that ability to really build yourself up. It's so cool. Yeah. And as I've progressed, I've unlocked some additional techniques, additional moves, additional weapons, fairly standard action game progression, but each new thing you get is a fun toy, a fun tool. I've stopped doing stealth. I don't play it like an assassin anymore. I'm as you build up to become the ghost, even on the hardest mode, it's so much more fun to walk up to the gate of a fortress and go, challenge me!
Yeah, I mean, that's totally how I've been playing it too. I've not been playing it on a hard, I've been playing it on medium, but I decided very early on that I would focus on parrying, because in all these games, all I'm doing all the time is dodging about, and it's often like, you know,
rolling around like a
because
wanker.
It's easier to do that. So I thought, you know, I'll stick it on medium, and I'll try and make it more difficult for myself with the mechanics. You know, I was wearing like the traveling armor. However, I think by wearing the travelling armour, it actually opens up like the map more, so you end up seeing more little bloody question marks. And so I ended up stopping doing that, because I was kind of getting a bit fucked off with how much open world bollocks there is in this game.
I think that there's a lot to do if you want the platinum, which I may well do, actually. But if you want the platinum, you need to do that. But particularly, I mean, even playing on hard, I've not needed to go around and build up and grind. I've done quests. I've found side things. I've built myself up at a level that feels fairly graceful but not overworked, and I'm ready to push on to the next story point and mission. And I think on the lower difficulties, you can, if you want to, just pursue the story, and the story really does progress. Like I say, I think I'm about 2/3 of the way in, compared to your third, maybe, Rob. I think it's 3 acts. And it's getting good.
Yeah, the best bits really I've found is the proper story stuff. So, I mean, perhaps maybe I will just focus on that and not worry too much. It just feels like a lot of it's like necessary, because of the way that you get your charms. That's how you unlock your charm slots and your resolve bar, and your health gets more if you go in the bath and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, finding the little hot springs to boost your overall maximum health, following the foxes to the little temples to build up your this kind of energy bar, isn't it? It's sort of special power bar is probably the way to put it, and build up how much you can have there. Yeah, and I've quite enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed doing the utterly pointless and unnecessary haikus where you just find this bit of beautiful scenery and you sit down and you're given 3 options per line and you compose a haiku and all you get is a headband, which is purely cosmetic and utterly meaningless. And yet if I see one of them and I'm in the middle of this life and death mission, I'll still just sit down and write myself a little Japanese
They've done a really good job with the vanity items. They don't really do anything, but everything looks very cool. It's very.
Yeah, and there's no microtransactions.
No, definitely not.
So.
Yeah, I think I am definitely enjoying it. Like the more I've played it, but it does feel like a B game to me. It doesn't. I don't think it pushes the medium forward in the same way that other games I've recently played have.
No, however, what I would say is actually, like The Last of Us, I have not played a game this generation, certainly in an open world. In The Last of Us, I assumed it was because they had small corridored bits, but I've never played an open world game. So I'm playing on a PS5 Pro on the disc version.
PS4 Pro.
But I've heard similarly on a... sorry, yes, I'm not that far ahead of the game. Yeah, I'm on the PS4 Pro, and I understand that on the PS4 standard, certainly on the downloaded version, it's not dissimilar. You are talking, if you go to fast travel to the other side of the map, you're talking between 8 to 10 seconds to load and be played.
So good.
It's phenomenal. But there's another reason you can play on difficult, is because if you die, you don't need to go and make a cup of tea while you're waiting for it to reload.
That's very true. I totally agree. It's just, I find, I'll tell you what it does remind me of a little bit more. I think because Assassin's Creed, it's super high detail, and I love the way that all of that open world stuff all linked together. And this stuff, it all feeds in, but it doesn't quite link together. And I think when you've got all those missions, they're all quite spread out upon a massive, massive landmass that's unbelievably huge. This, to me, feels a little bit like a more like Zelda or Okami, Japanese games.
Well, they very much said, so I've read a couple of interviews with Suckerpunch, and they've said they were inspired by things like Breath of the Wild in the look and feel and the ways of approaching things. And you can definitely see that influence.
There are like the main storyline has some very interesting characters. But I think when I was because I was just playing it like Pac-Man. What's the nearest thing to do? Just doing it everything, and I found myself just getting a bit dulled out doing some of that because I think I just need to run and do the main stuff.
Enjoy the game.
Unless you're going for the platinum, you want to basically go for the legend stories, which will allow you to find amazingly cool items and sword techniques.
Where you get the lightning power. That was one of my favourite bits.
One of the rapid sword strike.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, so I've unlocked 2 out of 4 of the legendary sword techniques, and I'm very much ready for the next. I've also unlocked a longbow, which gives me explosive arrows, because what game doesn't have explosive arrows off a bow?
Yeah, I did a lot of the archery stuff quite early on, and I use it quite a lot actually, just because the pesky fuckers are quite far away.
Although the archery is very, very good, actually. I find it deeply satisfying, particularly against armoured opponents where you've got to get that shot through the mask. But you unlock the classic ability to slow time with the bow to line your shots up and all of that stuff. It's worth doing. But that's a good reason to do the grinding, to push through those stories, those side objectives, is to build up your legend and your power so that if you just go through the main thing, you will not actually level up enough to become the ghost. You've got to interact with the world. I think it's pretty well balanced, but it's just the way it is. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It feels like a quality Assassin's Creed game to me, but with an improved level of combat.
Yeah, I totally, like I said, I totally dig the combat.
I think your main issue is you enjoyed, it was a good couple of years ago I played Odyssey, you enjoyed the cultist missions element so much, I think, where you had to hunt those down, and that's what made you feel like an assassin. But you got to remember, in this, you're not an assassin. You're a samurai or a ninja or a combination between the two.
That's what I was getting at. I like that it's set up right away. They make a really big point of you like doing the samurai stuff. That's the honourable way. Stabbing people in the back is dishonourable.
Yep.
And so and that's totally fine with me, because I just spent like 100 hours skulking about stabbing people in the back. So I was like very happy with the whole thing. Like, challenge me, all this stuff,
Walk up to the gate, balls out, sword out.
And it's great. And you get 20 guys coming at you, and you fuck them all up without letting them come to you. And, well...
Not on hard, you don't.
Well, I guess I'm...
That's when you start rolling around.
Well, I don't have to roll around. I just parry everything. So...
Yeah. But the other one thing, like I say, the other one thing I will touch on is... There are, let's say, 4 main sword stances. You start with the stone stance, I think it is, which, to me, having spent, I haven't trained recently, but spent quite a while doing Japanese martial art of Aikido, and the movements, the way he steps, the way he cuts, the way he parries, the way he moves, and everything feels really genuinely authentic to me, and very much the way I was trained. But then as you watch the Mongol chiefs and you defeat Mongol chiefs and you observe them training, you unlock additional stances and ways of fighting. So the sword stance is very good against swordsmen, but the next one you'll pick up is a more flowing way of combat that's good against a shieldman, and then you'll pick up one that's better against those with spears and polearms, and then finally one that is better against big old fuckers. But it's certainly on hard. I don't know if you've needed to do it on the lower difficulty settings. What you find is you're in a fight and you've got 2 swordsmen advancing on you. So you're right, I'm in stone stance. Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, I've killed those guys. The next guy's got a shield. I need to flick my stance, change my combat style. And you're literally looking at who's the nearest enemy, who's attacking, and what stance do I need to take to defeat that enemy. It's throwing this other bit of tactics in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It does give you an extra level to the combat and strategy. But I've mostly just been on water stance because you've got that big battering thing. It's good for getting through shields. Occasionally, I have when I've had to swap onto the one that's good against spearmen a few times. But I've not really been using the first one at all since I got the.
Oh, no. I literally, in every fight, I've had to switch between them. And this is why, for anyone who doesn't mind dying a few times, if you do pick the game up and have a go, I strongly recommend play it on hard, because it's so satisfying when you do finish that fight.
Cool. Can you flip it up at any time? Because maybe I'll give that a go.
Yes, you can change. Yes. Toggle the difficulty. See how you get on. What you'll find is it suddenly becomes harder to parry. You need to focus more. And you may find it really intimidating at first, but go take out a couple of side bases, couple of fortifications, practice it, play with it. But yeah, you can just flick the difficulty up and down as you need to go.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a go.
Give it a try.
Yeah, I'll see how I get on.
But the trouble is your muscle memory has you not doing that.
Oh well. Any other thoughts? I think it's fine.
Just that it's enormous fun. And one thing I've always ranked games on is the level of fun. The only game I've played this year which wasn't fun but still genuinely enjoyed was The Last of Us 2. But it's been a beautiful relief to come out of such a grim and oppressive game and then go into something as genuinely beautiful with such enjoyable combat but no real overly emotional involvement other than let's just see what's around this corner, let's follow the fox to a shrine, and then when you pick up your little benefit from the shrine, you can turn around and you can
try to do
fox.
that whenever possible. It's only fair. Got to thank the fox.
You've got to stroke the fox. And it's basically when you get to see Jin Sakai's arse as he's going into the hot water spring, and you're just like, it's just like, hey, he's got naked and he's just chilling out in the hot tub. I love this guy.
Out there. Yeah.
It's a little bit like that.
Cool, all right.
toss a yen to your samurai.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, sorry, one last thing.
Oh, yeah, you
mode.
started it, didn't you? You started the game like that.
I started it in Kurosawa mode. So what it does is it puts bands at the top and bottom of the screen and makes it into a proper cinematic widescreen. It puts it in black and white, Japanese with English subtitles, or presumably if your first language is another language, those ones. And it is beautiful and incredible. Now, but I started it off in that and absolutely loved it. But when I'm trying to ride through the landscape and have a conversation with a companion and enjoy the landscape, also learn how colour makes a difference in seeing things, it made it quite hard and confusing and headachy for me to play. I couldn't read the subtitles and look at the beautiful landscape and figure out where I was going. However, being a platinum wanker, my plan is I'm going to finish the game, and then when I need to mop up and finish these settlements and go and just travel the world, and there's no longer really any key plot points that I need to worry about or follow, I'm doing that in Kurosawa.
I wish there was
looking
some...
forward to it.
So you can switch at any point?
Yeah, you can switch at any point.
I wish that it would
amazing.
save out some of the missions you do, or is there an option to just replay them? Because there's certain ones that I thought, like the one I mentioned earlier about the if you could just if you could just have that saved out somewhere in a menu and just be able to replay certain sections. Because I saved out one of them as a video, and I went to just trim it up, and I ended up watching the whole thing through.
It's stunning, isn't it? Graphically, it's beautiful, and it's genuinely just watchable, I think. But not to my knowledge. Now, it may be that they'll do a patch that will allow you to replay, and I don't know if you complete the game, if you can revisit.
Yeah, you want like a Kurosawa gallery or
or
something, or just a list of the main beats. It doesn't have to be you playing it, but just for you to replay it.
Just enjoy it.
But I think whilst the plot's going on in the various stories, I need it with the English dubbing. I don't know if you can put it in black and white, but keep the English language. But that doesn't feel right either. But I love the idea. Finish the game, but when I go to mop up the enemy fortresses, when I don't need to know what they're saying, but I can do it feeling like I'm in a proper samurai movie, doing these standoffs in black and white with Japanese subtitles.
Could you imagine that?
Voices.
Well, could you imagine having it in Kurosawa mode? It will almost be like a bad Kung Fu dub mode.
Yes.
Where if the mouth is lip synced to Japanese still, but you change it to English language.
Well, the lip sync's really interesting. So what I have found, and I'm assuming it's just a cleverness of the engine, the lip sync looked good in either language.
Yeah. Well, they did that with Final Fantasy VII. It does that. The lip sync changes.
Oh, of course,
it's
different
kind of
language.
Universal to language. It's it's a rough approximation.
What I did find interesting, and I've not found confirmation, but certainly looking on IMDb at the voice actors, I'm pretty certain because it's even those doing it in English, it's a Japanese cast, and I'm pretty certain the voice actors have done roles in both languages, which I think is awesomely cool.
One of the guys early on, the guy who teaches you archery, I massively recognised him off of various.
Well, the main character who plays Jin Sakai is in Man in the High Castle as the Emperor of Japan.
I know.
Helps you guys.
The guy I'm thinking about is Francois Chow.
Sensei.
He was in Lost and The
Ishikawa.
Expanse and loads of stuff. So.
Okay. Well, I've read The Expanse and I watched
this guy.
and I watched the first couple of episodes of Lost and gave up, like I do with most TV series you seem to reference.
The character model even looked like him. I was like, it's that guy. He's in the game. Cool. Nice casting. Yeah.
That's quite nice.
Oh, it's a beautiful game. If you want something peaceful for the soul and the spirit, happy with an open world and some enjoyable combat, I'd thoroughly recommend it. I really like it. It will be one of my top games this year.
Well, I was just going to say, it's like probably my second favourite and a blessed relief after the horrors of The Last of Us 2, which I guess we will talk about very soon. Did you have any more questions about Ghost of Tsushima, though, Marcus, or are you happy with that?
To be honest, it just sounds like it's going to be the game that I'm going to really enjoy.
Marcus,
when I'm all set up again, I think I'm going to just enjoy getting some games finished off and then just really settling down and enjoying this.
Yeah, when I've got my plat, which might be a little while, I shall cheerfully chuck it your way, old chap, because I think you will love it.
Happy days. Does anyone need a break or anything, or shall we smash right into it?
We're not going Fortnite.
Oh yeah, Marcus. Yeah, sorry, Marcus. You've been playing some bits, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I could just chuck that in. Oh yeah, so yeah, I've gone back a few years and turned into a 12-year-old. I'm playing Fortnite.
I love it.
Not massively.
Is this the Battle Royale? Because Fortnite, correct me if I'm wrong, has more than one mode that doesn't seem to be a known thing anymore.
Yeah, it's got, well, you got this standard Battle Royale where you drop in singles or teams. And you've got, well, you could do either squads. So you could go in on your own against everyone. I think it's like 200 people or something mental like that. And that's got everything in there, like, you can get in helicopters and fly around and stuff like that. Other people could jump on the side of the helicopters and join in if you want. And you can form alliances or not, which soon crumble apart. But you can also have squads, which means they can't shoot you. But if you go on your own, it's fair game. Everyone will be everyone. You've also got the team battle as well, which is kind of like, for lack of a better term, the Muso mode, like the Dynasty Warriors, where you've got a set number of kills, and whichever team reaches it first. So you basically keep respawning until red or blue team.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've not played enough of those, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's quite fun for just putting on and just something a bit brainless and a bit kind of like, I think you mentioned when you were doing Overwatch, like you just put it on for a few rounds and then do something else. And it's like a very light, non-committal gaming, and me and Suze just sort of jump in, or sometimes Suze will just be playing it, and I'll be doing something else. And it's I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's genuinely a bit fun.
Taken over the
I
world.
can see how they absolutely rinse parents' wallets. I can see it.
Do they push hard on the old cosmetics?
Basically, it kind of, in some ways, it's by the people who did Dauntless as well, or more Epic Games. So, I tried that as an alternative to Monster Hunter, and it didn't sit well with me because I walked into his marketplace and it was a bit like walking into that bit in Ready Player One where they're like, we can cover the screen with 93% adverts before inducing seizures, and it was like you walk into this marketplace and literally everything is buyable with real money, and you're looking at, you walk up to a merchant and you're like, yeah, this is only like $22.50, and you're like, I don't want to buy a battle pack, I don't want to buy this, I don't want to buy that. So that didn't sit well with me, so that's why I stopped playing that game. We were looking at a first person PvE thingy, but you still have to buy a battle pass for that, so we're a bit like So it kind of just serves its purpose as a chuck on if we just got like an hour.
Yeah.
Get a couple of headshots, piss about, and that's it.
Well, seeing as it's come up in conversation...
It's very disposable.
Yeah, seeing as it's come up in conversation, a first-person PvE, so there's still no detail on release, but Overwatch 2, I'm quite looking forward to, because what it does, it expands the PvP game that is Overwatch. They've done a few special ones where it's PvE, but the Overwatch 2, the whole idea is they're going to keep the original game in it, so you can still play against people playing standard Overwatch on that mode. But what they're actually doing is creating a massive PvE series of levels and events, which I think looks kind of fun. Kind
of like the Iceborne expansion to Monster Hunter World, where it's it's kind of, it bolts into the game, integrates it, and makes it one larger game.
Yeah, if you buy 2, you can still play the one maps against one players, but then you've got additional stuff on top, which feels like a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
But it also means all of the skins.
Expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I've never spent money on Overwatch apart from buying the game, because I'm level 728 or something utterly disgustingly absurd, because I've been playing it fairly regularly for the last 5 years. It means if I buy Overwatch 2, I will still have all of those beautiful skins and voice lines and emotes.
You're still rewarded for your sort of, your allegiance in a weird way.
Exactly
for lack of a better term,
it'll carry over, and I'll have my beautiful skin for Hammond the hamster in the giant wrecking ball,
nice.
where he looks like a little submarine captain with a gorgeous, cute little moustache, and he can do this dance, and it's all good.
Oh, I should just quickly say, mention the Monster Hunter thing. We are still playing it, and the developers
Will
have
you ever
unleashed
stop?
We did. We actually did hang it up a little bit, and we weren't really playing much. And then the developers unleashed a new form of hell.
The bastards!
It's a dragon called... It's basically an end dragon from one of the other games. I think it's like Monster Hunter 3. Basically, I figured out Monster Hunter World is basically like Monster Hunter All-Stars. They're picking up all of the end boss creatures from other things,
right,
and just bringing them into this game. And the thing is, you're not paying anything for it, which is why it keeps bringing me back. So this thing just completely pissed off so many people over Twitter, and everyone was trying to figure out how to beat it. Like, it's another one of those things where it has an attack which will wipe your entire party, and there is nothing you can do about it. And it's literally like a puzzle trying to figure out how to not necessarily beat the creature, just how to survive this attack. And so you literally go on Reddit and people are going, oh, what if I do this? And people are piling like 5 different healing items on and everything else, and all standing together in a line. It's that kind of level of insanity we know when proper nerds are looking into frame data and stuff and saying, well, it takes this much health off this quickly if we pack like blah blah blah, and then fail, and like, what the hell do we have to do? And it's that kind of, it's made me laugh because we tried it a few times. I say a few times, I think I fought it about 20-30 times or something, and have been murdered horrendously a lot. But yeah, it's still kind of fun. It's kind of brought back a little bit more magic. Even though we're like, this bastard just won't die, what the fuck do we have to do? And now we know what we have to do to beat it. You basically have to wail into it with elemental weapons, which is something that everyone else pretty much ditched, because
that's why they've done it then.
Everyone goes for DPS, so it's like standard weapon.
Yep.
Exactly. They've basically gone, everyone's ditched elemental weapons, and we're going to give you something you don't use. So you have to wail in a ton of elemental damage before it does this move, which has the ponziest name I've heard for an attack. It's called Eschaton Judgment. Sounds like something out of an anime.
It does sound to me like one of the Final Fantasy finisher.
Yeah, it does. It's typically Japanese people, isn't it? It can't just be called a big boom.
I'll be honest, that I would actually say would be worse.
Yeah, it's just a big boom.
Everybody do the big boom! Eschaton Judgment! No,
it's
no doubt.
Just one of those things. I mean, there's another sort of festival as well that's coming out, which gives you more unique quests and stuff and everything else. And it's one of those games I think I'm going to keep going back to, simply because they will just keep bringing more stuff out. COVID's kind of derailed the roadmap a little bit, so they had like a whole load of stuff they were going to bring out.
It's just
damn you, COVID!
Just ruining everything, really.
Yeah, I can't argue with it. It's one of those weird games which won't be for everyone, and I think it's one of them things. I think it's kind of like, this is a really weird analogy. I think it's become Rob. I think it's become like my Hearthstone.
There are games you're married to, and there are games you date.
That. And
I actually played a bit of Hearthstone yesterday because I went on a train to go for some beers, and I actually had to get the Hearthstone out because I was like, what do I do? I'm bored.
I can't remember how to trade.
No, I was like, I went straight for it. I had to download a small update, but my deck still works.
2 minutes in.
One of you games.
And how are you getting on with Divinity 2?
Awesome.
You still playing?
The problem is that it's very difficult to find a night of the week that everyone's up for.
Herding cats.
Yeah, no, half of them want to play at the weekend, and I don't want to play at the weekend because I want to take advantage of whatever socialising I can muster. And they don't want to play in the week because they have to go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and it's like...
10 o'clock, that's a bit late for me, to be honest.
Yeah, this is why it doesn't work. So...
Yeah, but this is also why I wake up at 5.
Yeah, which I
don't need to.
No, I just move those hours along a bit.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll be honest though, like I say, I'm a family man, wife, 2 kids, dog, all of that stuff. And the wife and the 2 kids have actually gone away. And this morning, for the first time, I woke up and I stayed in bed till 15 minutes before I was due to start work. And then I had a panic shower. And it was brilliant. And I've been working from home for months now, but for the first time I've not kind of gone, oh, daughter's up, I better go and make some coffee and sort of breakfast and stuff. I've just literally gone, well, if the dog's not shat on the floor, I can probably do another half hour in bed. And he hadn't.
Yeah, I've had a few mornings where I like to get up about 8 and have an hour or so to fuck about, but there are, if I've had a few shandies the night before, then I'll get up at 20 to 10, which is 5 minutes before my meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're certainly not guilty of keeping a laptop next to the bed to fire it up to just make sure you're visible. I certainly wouldn't do a thing like that. No,
definitely not. Anyway, yeah, no. The thing about Divinity, just to get back on topic, is. When we were in full-on lockdown, that was a fucking godsend, because we'd play that twice a week for like 3 or 4 hours, and we did that for about 3 months, and the fucking game is still going. It's obnoxiously long. So I'm kind of not even, for the very first time in a very long time, I don't really care if I finish it or not.
I'll be honest, No, you probably can't so much easily just take it on a single player.
I can.
But Divinity was one of those games.
I've got the save game. If I was that bloody minded about doing it. But it's such hard work, that game. You boot it up every time we play it. We're like, what the fuck do we do now? And it's just like, let's go over here. I'll kill some things. And then, it takes 3 of us to actually, I think because, I don't know. Maybe we've just been killing stuff a bit indiscriminately. We killed this bishop guy who I think we were not supposed to kill.
Alexander.
We killed him twice. Like, we killed him right at the start, and then we killed him again.
You'll be killing him again.
Right, okay. It's just that there's lots of people going, oh, I'm here to help Alexander. It's like, well, we killed him. But you don't select that in the dialogue. It's just like... Ooh.
No, it's not an issue. I mean, what I would say, I played Divinity a couple of times on a playthrough. I remember the first time I got so fatigued. I finished Act 4 and Act 5 started, and I just went,
that's where we are.
And I couldn't go back.
That's where we are. We just got to another place.
You are nearly there. Oh, you are nearly there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so tormenting.
Push through.
I think it just requires like the odd Friday or Saturday night when nothing's going on, and there have been quite a few of those, even with restrictions being lifted. Where I just need to be a bit more organised and go, guys, let's do it. Even if it's just me and John taking a character each, but he's been playing it like me on autopilot and we've been. The thing is, some of us have played it already, finished it already, or are quite a way through it, and you just get so used to people going, oh, we go over here now. It's like you're following following Gandalf around, you know.
It's driving with a sat-nav instead of paying attention to where you're going.
So me and John, we haven't really been paying much attention. And the others are like, oh, right, have we done this? We're going to try this. I'll look this up. And there's been a lot of that going on. So I don't really feel like I've got much ownership over the adventure. And I'd rather just have Trev turn up and tell us where to go and who to fight. And just kind of be along for the ride. So, but anyway, no.
Well, you're nearly there by the sounds of things.
I'll hopefully get to it eventually. But yeah.
The other thing I would point out, Mr. Oh, I played this on hard and I played this on hard. I played Divinity on the easiest setting because I just enjoyed the story. I enjoyed that game, and I didn't want to have to be too tactical and heavy because it turns out I'm not very good at that.
We've got ourselves in lots of trouble before playing that. Like, we've gone into somewhere and blagged our way in, had a conversation with someone that's like 3 or 4 levels ahead of us, and ended up in a fucking Barney, and then we're stuck there and we've got to fight our way out.
Yes, with your arses handed.
And it's taken us like a whole night just to get out of one place. So, but it's fun though. It's definitely had its moments. It's a great game.
Like I say, Baldur's Gate, I'm looking forward to because Larry and I just trust to hold that torch.
Thanks for listening to the Not Playing Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Watching Podcast, where me and Marcus talk about movies and TV, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam, Ash and Will talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet out or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard there, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, stay safe out there.
To agree 'cause I suck at Call of Duty.